The Spirit of Business is going live. Don't miss this next session to help you execute your private administration like a true boss. So when your interest is being taken from you, it's because of this double booking method or this double accounting method where all of your payments are no longer being credited to the debts that you have agreed to. These payments are being put over onto another ledger to account for the debt that somebody purchased in connection to your initial deposit, which is this agreement. Your deposit, the agreement itself, is considered commercial paper, a negotiable instrument. This is where those things are housed as an asset. As an asset, these things are housed on this ledger, this shadow ledger or double ledger, which is supposed to be structured like this one. Okay, so we get confused because we don't know anything about this back office accounting. So when the back office accounting happens, they're going to look at you and say, well, where are our credits? Because we bought your debt as an asset, now we have the ability to come and make you pay us because we purchased your debt, which you didn't know there was a credit over here. There's a credit that is being generated because of your agreement to perform. Your agreement to perform is an asset. Again, remember that, a debt asset. It is money and it belongs right here as a credit, but it ends up coming over here as a debt. Third party comes into play and they start their own accounting ledger, which has nothing really to do with you. And so we're going to talk about how to fix that. How are we going to stop this double ledger from happening? By way of our private administration, knowing how to submit our documents, appointments, claims, notices, and so on and so forth, to be able to stop this double accounting method. Because you as a natural person do not have to be a surety for a credit that somebody is just simply generating out of nowhere. You understand? So the next thing we're going to talk about is what was in your contract. Because when a debt is created, the contract is describing what's happening with the debt itself and how you can possibly discharge it. Because if you are, let's say, in a, you can have a car contract, you can have a home loan, any kind of financing. You can have debt from a court case. You could have a tax debt. Okay. All these different debts. Like I said, a car, home loan, financing, a court case, tax debt. All these different debts are coming from different places. So what was in your contract? If there is a security interest to be protected, it's going to be in the contract. Okay. If there is no contract, for example, with a court case or a tax debt, then you have an advantage in that situation. If there is a contract, then you need to look to the contract, because all of these are bilateral contracts. These are unilateral contracts here. These are implied contracts or cohesion contracts for a court case and for taxes. But when you talk about cars, home loan, and financing agreements, these things have bilateral terms and conditions. So you have to go and look and see what is being done with your security interest. Are you volunteering it? Because most of the time in a bilateral contract, they're going to tell you if you're volunteering your interest, meaning you don't get to benefit off of this transaction up here when we do this accounting. When we do this double accounting, they could care less about your security interest in the debt asset that you created through your agreement. Do you understand? You agreed to perform. It's an asset to them. It accrues interest, and you're supposed to have that as a security. You're supposed to have an interest in that security, which is the debt asset. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay? So when you look at this contract, they're going to tell you whether or not you're volunteering your assets, or basically your asset, your security. In this unilateral type of contract with a court case or a tax, there is no notice or disclosure or anything like that for you to sort of assess, so you can figure out how to discharge it. However, that is what discharging is. If you have a debt that is arising from a unilateral contract, you can automatically get rid of it. You can automatically get rid of it because this is a unilateral contract. There's no meeting of the minds. There's no proper disclosure. There is no security agreement. So if there is no security agreement, there really is no debt. And especially because all debt is commercial. If I could, let me write that for you very largely. All debt is commercial. Okay? All of it is commercial. All debt is commercial. And the reason why that's important is because all debt is going to be discharged in the same way. All right, we're taking a brief pause for a shameless plug. I'm your host, Reese Roberts, and you're listening to The Spirit of Business. If you want that goal, please head over to patreon.com/learnadminlaw, where you'll have full access to our weekly live stream events and one-on-one mentorship subscriptions. Now, jump back in for our summary segment. I don't know why it keep going out, but anyway, the accounting happens at the Treasury. So now this is this double accounting thing that we're talking about again. So once we have our straw man, that's one account that we are maintaining at the Treasury. Okay, the straw man has its own account, and it gets treated by way of the Form 1040. That's the way the account is treated. So there are only 1040 actions or transactions that are allowed to occur from the straw man account based on what the 1040 has allowed for it to do, right? So then we talk about what other type of entities do we have at the Treasury where we can create these accounts for our accounting methods, okay? This is so good. At the Treasury, you can open up all kinds of different accounts, just like you would at a bank. If you go to a bank, you can open up, a non-interest bearing account or a trust account, or you can open up a personal checking or a savings account, or you can have, brokerage accounts and all these other things that you can do at a bank, investment accounts. Same thing at the Treasury. So the type of accounts that the Treasury offers is listed wherever you see the EIN application. Every entity is assigned its own type of accounting method. It has a form that goes with it that tells you what kind of accounting can be done under this enumerated entity. Okay, so enumeration is really important. Okay, because enumeration equals treatment. Okay, treatment, or what you would call a treaty. Okay, a treat. My poor thing. Can y'all see? Oh, dang. Okay, so enumeration tells you how your account is going to be treated. And this is actually from constitutional language. It talks about a treaty. It has to do with tax conventions. A treaty is about a tax convention. So the enumeration of your entity tells you what kind of tax treatment or tax treaty is going to be applicable to that entity. So let's just say you go to the IRS and you say, well, I want to do a sole proprietorship. Okay, well, that enumerated entity gets treated a certain way. They tell you what form to fill out, and that's the treatment that it gets. You go to them and you say, I want an estate EIN number. Okay, great. Here's the enumeration for that. This is under that category. This is the kind of account that you're going to be able to have. These are the transactions that you can do. Here's the form for it. You go to them and say, you want a corporation. You want a corporate entity. All right, cool. Enumeration, and I'm going to give you the form, because this is how these things get treated. So when it's time for us to discharge debt, okay, all of these entities have credit and debit ledgers, all of them. our objective is to create enumerated entities or unenumerated entities that work together to create these credits and debits by which we're going to be doing this double accounting, or whatever, however many ledgers we're going to use, doesn't matter, but we're going to be switching these debits and credits around the same way they do for us. Whenever we create a debt here and we're supposed to get a credit here, but instead it creates an asset here as a debt, and then the credits get taken from you as in the form of payments. And that's going to be it for our latest episode of The Spirit of Business, where we give you a sneak peek into the lessons being taught in our brand new Patreon community where we mentor private administrators. Again, I'm your host, Reese Roberts, and I hope to see you join our community at www.patreon.com/learnadminlaw for your mentorship subscription today.